Today we're going to be looking at graphing absolute values in our warm-up. If you remember that f of x, absolute value symbol, is a V-shaped graph. Okay, and based on that we also have some transformations that we have to look at. So I'm going to write out the following here. F of x equals mx plus or minus b. Now we had several things that we did when we looked at this. If there was a negative in front, it's a reflection over x. Okay, another thing that we looked at was the m value. If m was greater than 1, it was a stretch. If m was less than 1, then it was a shrink. And this meant that it was real long and skinny. This one was short and fat. Okay, the last thing that we looked at was b. If b is positive, then we shift up that many. If b is negative, then we shift down that many. So let's look at our transformations over here. Over here in this function, we do have a negative. So that means we are going to reflect over x-axis. So because of that negative right there. Our m value is going to be assumed 1. M equals 1 here, which means I do not stretch nor do I shrink, so it's going to be the standard parent function with the other transformations. This is a positive b value, which means we're going to shift up. So we are going to shift our vertex up 3. Now, if you remember our parent function, and I'm going to just do it in pencil here real quick. We started at 0, 0, and we went up 1 and out 1 to either side. So this line right here is f of x equals the absolute value f, with no transformations whatsoever at all. Okay? But if we look at our equation we're asked to graph, we have to reflect things because of the negative in front, and we have to shift it. So our new function we're going to do is, let's just do our shift up 3. So if I move up 3, 1, 2, 3, then I've taken care of my shift up 3. Now, if I reflect this dot over the x, that means I'm now right here. But I now also have to move it up 3. 1, 2, 3. This dot would reflect to negative 2, but I have to shift it up 3. 1, 2, 3. This one again goes to negative 1, but I shift it up 3. 1, 2, 3. Same thing here. Positive 2 is going to go to negative 2, but I shift it up 3. 1, 2, 3. And there I have my transformed graph of f of x equals negative absolute value x plus 3. Okay, now we've got to talk about all of its characteristics: domain, range, interval of increase, decrease, line of symmetry, and extreme point, which is also our vertex. And it has to have a max or a minimum value. Okay, domain. Domain is all of our x values. So, what x values, and let's just take a highlighter and go across the top and identify all of our x values. X values go from left to right. This number here in the middle would have to be 0. This is negative infinity. This out here is positive infinity. So I took my function and I flipped it up to this green line. So if I just kind of push this side up to here and upside to here, you will notice that it points both directions, left and right. So this is negative infinity to positive infinity, or you can write all real numbers. Okay, my range. My range I'm going to highlight with a yellow highlighter. So here we go. That's all my y values. And so now I'm going to take my function and I'm going to push it down to the y values. If I push it down to the y values, you will notice that I have a graph that is pointing to negative infinity down here at the bottom. So my graph goes from negative infinity to 3, or you can write it as 3 to negative infinity. I'm not picky about that. Intervals of increase and decrease are based on our x values, so I have to go back to the green line. Now, looking at this graph from left to right, if I follow my graph is increasing on the negative side here. And it's already broken into an interval between negative infinity and 0 and positive infinity. So if I am increasing here, then from negative infinity until 0, I have my interval of increase. Once I get to my vertex 0, 3, I'm then going to go downhill. So I'm going to go ahead and put decrease here. So my interval of decrease is from 0 to positive infinity. My line of symmetry is where I can fold my graph in half. I can fold my graph in half at the y-axis. That is written as a vertical line of x equals 0. Anytime you have a vertical line, it's going to be x equals and then the number it's going through on the x value. We've already talked about my vertex. It's here at the turning point. We said that that is 0, 3, because I had shifted it up 3. And because it's at the top, it is a maximum. If it was at the bottom of my graph, it would be a minimum. Okay, do you guys have any questions?